final presentations. My name, I should introduce myself, I should, is Liam Hislop. I am the associate producer of Game Project. The long dreaded? Fairly? I was the project?
No, you were the project.
Oh, okay. I can't hear anymore, they made me deaf. Too much screaming throughout the, yeah, it's my own fault. Well, we've got 5 great games to show everyone today. The students do, actually. The developers, they've been working hard, toiling long hours. Long hours. How many hours? Rough estimate.
3 times 50 weeks.
See, they don't even know. Their brains are so far gone, they don't even know. They have no clue. They've lost it. All right. Rather than torture you and make you come up with numbers that you don't remember. You don't do math? Okay. If you could do me a favor and turn your cell phones to a non-noise making setting, that would be excellent. Everyone would be much appreciated. And I would also like to explain one thing. You're going to hear the term EP, that is external producer. What an external producer is one member of the Game Project staff that is assigned to each team. The external producer is the person, it's the main point of contact, the coach, the mentor, the cop, the parent, the sit-downs, guiding the team and making sure that everyone's getting what they need. So that everyone, all the students, all the developers, everyone's getting everything they need from some person. That goes over well. And normally at this point I would introduce the first external producer. However, the gentleman is not here this afternoon. He had other arrangements that were made before today. But he does send his best. He wants you guys to do well. And he's looking forward to seeing everything that you guys are going to see in a few minutes. So, without further ado, I'll bring up the first team, standards and practices.
Thank you, Liam. We are Standards and Practices, and to my right here is Curtis Mahieu, Andrew Peterson. To my left, Joseph Kubiak, Jason Duke, and Ashley Bennett. And I am Willie Nalle. And we are proudly presenting to you today Urban Annihilation. Urban Annihilation is a RTS, which is a real-time strategy game. Our tagline is playtime in the inner city. Now this isn't because it's a childish game. It's actually a pretty serious game, but it's from a child's imagination perspective. You can play as one of 4 factions, and we have 4-player networking, so you can get online and play with your friends. And we've got a single player with 2 different game types, including mission-based and skirmish mode. And now for some more details, here's Ashley.
Thank you, Willie. Hi everyone, my name is Ashley Bennett. First of all, I want to say these guys worked really hard over the past few months. They put out some fantastic work. I'm really proud of the game we've produced. I hope you like it. So, we made an RTS game. So, you might have played games like StarCraft, Command & Conquer, Red Alert. We tried to make a game similar to those, but with a few differences. The way you gather resources, and in our game, we have money, extra infantry units, vehicles, and upgrades to your weapons. We've changed the way you earn those by gathering around certain buildings depending on what team you're playing as. The problem is other teams are trying to do the same thing around the same building, so you're always trying to fight. Also in RTS games there's generally a big wide open space, big field, whereas we've made a city environment, so again we can find it, so hopefully the action's more intense, more concentrated. This right here is one of the concept images we put in our design document when we were the first thinking about how the game would look and how it would play. And it actually ended up looking a lot like this, so it turned out pretty good. But we're going to show you the game, so let's hurry up and get through this. First of all, what we did to actually make the game, I was the project manager, but one of the main things I coded was the animation system, which meant getting 3D models out of a 3D animation package into our game and then moving around. So we had all our character models were made by the Full Sail Asset team, did a great job. Animations of the guys walking and shooting and things. Really turned out good. Something else I worked on was most of the interface for the game. So the menus that let you change the brightness of your screen all through to being able to tell your guys to attack other people. I put most of those together. But to do that, I used another system created by Andrew, and that was just one of the things he did. So I'm going to let him talk about that.
Thank you, Ashley. Like you said, I'm Andrew Peterson. I was the technical lead on this project. One of the systems I did was the windowing system, like you said. We knew when we started this project that we would have to convey large amounts of data to the user and have them interact with like lots of units and things like that. To do that, we had this windowing system that I designed that made us easily integrate like any kind of window that we wanted into the game. Also, what I did was the networking system. Ours is a peer-to-peer system, which means that each individual computer communicates directly with another computer instead of going through some kind of central server, which makes our system kind of unique. But all of this is useless if we don't have any gameplay. So I'm going to hand you off to the gameplay lead, Joseph Kubiak, to tell you more about that.
Thank you, Andrew. I am Joseph Kubiak, the gameplay lead. Basically what I worked on was making the units interact with the world. That means like influencing the building, making them be able to upgrade and attack and things like that. And I also did the mini-map system, which is a quick way to see what's going on in the world, where your units are at, and how much of the world you've discovered so far. Another system I designed was the particle system. As you can see from the image here, it's a wicked awesome way to do cool blood effects and explosions and things like that. But the units need to know what to do, so I'm going to pass it off to Duke to tell you about artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Joe. I'm Jason Duke. I was the AI lead. I spent a bulk of my time working on the pathfinding for the game. Pathfinding utilized the A-star algorithm. If you don't know what A-star does, it's basically just the quickest way for a unit to find a path from where it's at to its destination. Also, I spent a lot of time on the units AI. The entities they used a state machine to decide how to act based on your commands and the environment around them to just interact with it and do what you told it to. Also, the player AI was a huge part of it. I wanted to make the player AI work the same as a real human player would approach the game. So I had to limit it to where it had just as little information as a real player would. So kind of like when you see in our game, the Fog of War, the player AI has that as well. And now Kurt is going to tell you about rendering in her game.
Thank you, Duke. I was responsible for everything you see on the game. The two major systems I did were the scene graph and the calling system. The calling system, it took every object in the world and figured out what was viewable and not viewable, and discarded the non-viewable objects, and then took the viewable objects and passed them off to the scene graph, which decided how to sort them and display them to the screen. And as you can see from the picture, that's the final result you get. Also, I was responsible for all the math calculations of the unit's movement and rotation. And now I'll pass it off to Willie to tell you how to actually control the units.
Thank you, Kurt. I was the other stuff lead, which basically just means I did a few of the smaller utility systems, and such as sound and input, which are necessary for any game. But I also did some of the few smaller systems that brought the game together and made it more interesting to play, such as a trigger system. This was like the backbone of our mission mode. It allowed you to do a lot of things that you wouldn't normally expect in just a regular game. Some of the challenges we had to face during this project, though, two big things were advanced AI and networking. Advanced AI, like Duke said, we wanted to actually emulate the way a player or a person would play the game. And due to the scope of our game and just so many things going on, so many things you could potentially do, this was a big challenge. But we overcame that and got pretty great AI, which we'll show you in a second. And the other challenge is networking. Again, due to the scope of our game, there's potentially up to 1,000 units on the screen, and you can't just, tell everyone where all those units are every frame, because that would just completely bomb any networking system. So we used a command-based system that lowered the amount of network packets that we had to send and optimized the synchronization between the two computers. And now to finish off the challenges, here's Joseph.
Thank you, Willie. Another problem we had was that we basically had like 18 different people trying to figure out what the art should look like in our game. But we communicated really well and were really vocal about what we wanted it to look like, and we ended up with a pretty solid look and feel for the whole game. And another thing was, there was another mode we wanted to add, was a first-person mode. We actually got it in the game, but we didn't polish it up because it didn't seem to add much to the gameplay. So that was another feature that we dropped out. But overall, we overcame any challenge that we had and turned out pretty well. And I'll pass it off to Kurt to have him tell you what we learned.
Thanks, Joe. When we started this game, we went in knowing that there was lots of systems we had to build from scratch and that they were very complex and had to interact with each other. We spent a lot of time doing pre-planning before we even coded anything. And this really helped cut down on the amount of bugs and complete rewrites of systems that we had to do. Also, for us, we work in the same room together all the time, 8 hours a day. And that really helps with communicating because you don't have to wait for someone to get online. You can immediately get feedback from them or ask them how something works. Also, if we started over from scratch, there's not really much we would change with the way we did things. Everything went really smooth and fit really well for us. Now I'd like to thank everyone that helped us with our game. Lee Wood, who couldn't be here today. Our old EP, who moved on to better things. Will McGuire. Joel Carroll for helping us figure out our art style. All the Full Sail asset team for the models and animations. And all the DAD students that helped us with the stuff we wouldn't be able to create. And now we're going to demo our game for you.
All right, so we're going to send Andrew up the back to set things up. Might want to close PowerPoint. There we go. All right, so the first thing you're going to see once you've gone past our fantastic intro there is the profile screen. And now what this is, each person that uses the computer might want the game set up in a different way to suit them the way they play. So we're going to set up a new profile right now for Andrew so that he can set up his settings the way he wants. And every time you start the game, you can choose to load your profile and everything's the way you want it. So now he's into the game, so in his profile, he might want to change the way the menus look. He doesn't like this blue thing, that's my favourite, but he likes this more festive red thing. Beautiful. Check that out. Okay, so he can change brightness and things like that and adjust the volume if he needs to. But let's actually start playing the game. So the first thing we're going to do is show you our tutorial level, which will give you an idea of how you play the game. And to explain it, I'm going to get Joe to do that.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, this is the first tutorial mission for our game. Basically what the tutorial is going to do, let's go ahead and start it up, Andrew. Just kind of runs a beginner player through the level by showing the green text on the screen, telling them what their next objective is. Okay. Our faction type that we are right now is the Mafia, that's why you hear the beautiful music there. And this is what you start with, your 4 basic infantry units, the little red guys sitting there. And you got those are our buildings surrounded, they're made out of cardboard boxes. And what the first thing to do is here, you got to select your guys by making a little box around them, and he wants to move them down the road by right-clicking on the ground there. And you see as the guys move, the black area disappears. That's the fog of war, and that basically just shows what you haven't discovered yet. Okay, and if he can move farther down, he'll get to the factory, which is what the objective is here. And you notice in the top left, the mini-map also updates. It shows where the little red dots, where the units are, where the money building is, and all where the other fog of war is so far. Okay. And on this building, you notice a little red flag that rose up to the top. That shows how much influence you have on that building. And there's a money symbol on it telling us that we get money from this building. And if he clicks on the building, it'll show our money going up there. So make him some cash. And you probably noticed when the guys were walking along that they had little green check marks above their head. That's basically saying, okay, I heard your order, I'm going to do that for you. Okay. All right, our next objective here is to go ahead and find the cafe. So he's going to follow the road down here, so you can find that. Andrew's leaving a guy behind, so we still have influence on that building over there. Awesome, we found the cafe. It's a nice little restaurant. And you notice on this flag, it's got a little guy on there that just tells us that this is where we get our infantry for this team. Okay, now that he's got full infantry, you can click on the building. And in the bottom right, this is our orders menu. This basically shows anything that you could build from this building. So let's say if you want to build 4 El Duces, you can hover over it, it says El Duce and how much it costs on the bottom, and just click that 4 times. Okay, and then you see the first one's got the progress meter on there, it tells you how long until it's going to be built. But Andrew decided, oh wait, I don't want 4 El Duces, I only want 2. So he's going to click on 2 of them. Basically acts like a cancel button or like a receipt at Walmart, you just take and get your money back. Okay, and then he's going to add 2 Goombas to the queue there. Alright, now we've got our first guy over here, he just popped into the world because he came out of the building there. And Andrew could go ahead and arrange him in a nice formation for a killing spree here. And what you notice when he has 1 unit selected, it's on the little status window up there, it shows the health of the unit and also the gun he's carrying, and also the name too. The little green bar above their heads, that's their health, and it'll start shrinking down when they start getting attacked. Our objective here is to go ahead and build 8 guys, so just gotta wait a few more seconds here. You notice when Andrew clicks on the building, there's a blue area. That's like the area you have to be inside to influence the building. So we got a pretty good amount of influence on that building, so that's why we're making guys so fast. Okay, let's see. We got our 8 guys now. So next objective pops up, and we're supposed to move south and kill the enemy. But 2 of Andrew's guys feel really confident about taking on the whole army by themselves, so they're going to go ahead and run down there. Uh-oh. See the nice particle blood effects? And as the guy's health goes down, you see blood gushing out of his neck there too. Okay, since that didn't really work, we're going to try a little different strategy of bringing all of our guys down there. And on the orders menu, you notice these are all the possible orders for the guys we have selected. And he could click on the attack icon and click on the individual units, and they'll target that guy and be much more effective. Now, if Andrew wants to just go ahead and wipe out everybody in one area, he can just click that attack icon and then click on the ground, which is basically just attack area. Now the AI might not seem that good, but they're kind of shut off right now, so they're not really reacting to what we're doing. But it's just a tutorial to teach you how easy it is, or to teach you how to play the game. Okay, awesome. We completed our mission. So now we won this first tutorial mission, and Andrew will go back to the menu, and then the next missions would pop up, and then you can continue on through the game, learn how to play. But right here is the status window, or the stats window. It just shows you how many guys you created, how many vehicles you killed, how many buildings you destroyed, and how much money you made. And if you play an online game, this is stored on our website for the game. Okay. Now I'd like to pass it back to Ash to show you what our single-player skirmish mode is like.
Thanks, Joe. Nice job. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, once you finish your mission, all the missions are unlocked. We've already got a tutorial for now, so what we're going to do is show you the skirmish mode. Now what this is how you would play a multiplayer game, but we're going to play just against the computer for right now. So we're going to go ahead and choose a couple of teams. You can choose a random team or one of the other 4, the Mahieu, Gangster, Cartel, or Corporation. So we're the Cartel because they've got some really good weapons. And we're going to set it AI to Mahieu. And you just need to choose a map. And we're just going to play a 2-player against the computer right now. So let's go ahead. Alright, so we're in the game now. So the idea is just to kill the other team. You've got to do everything you learned in this tutorial. You need to go and find yourself some money, go and find yourself some more guys, get yourself some vehicles, and also upgrade your weapons as well. So Andrew's going to send his guys over to get some money, which happens to be for the cartel at the school, which is over to the right here. He gets his cars from the bank, which is just above him. So we're going to start adding some influence here. Each team uses different buildings to get their resources from, but you all end up intermixing, so you're always fighting around certain areas. So the AI right now is trying to do the same thing as you. They're building up as well. We don't want to spend too long earning all our money and everything, we're going to cheat, so let's go ahead and give ourselves some money, so we can just build some guys really fast. Alright, so we're just giving ourselves a load of money, so let's start building some trucks at the bank. We have 100% influence, so we can start building these trucks. each faction gets different vehicles and different guys with different abilities, different weapons. So once these are built, we can start earning upgrades. So why don't we send a guy over to the upgrades building right now, so we can start getting some influence over that. So there's this fog of war here. We're not really sure where it is, so why don't we turn off the fog of war with another cheat. Okay, so now we can see the whole world and we know where the enemy is. The enemy isn't doing this. Duke programmed some great AI. It's not cheating. It still has fog of war. It's still got the right amount of money. We're just not playing that way. So the guns building's up here to the left, at the top here. So if we send a guy over to that, we can start earning some upgrades. And we should look a lot better. Some fantastic voice acting by my brother up there. Okay, so now we've got some influence over this building, we can start buying upgrades from it. But again, we don't want to bother doing that. We want all our guys to have the best weapons right now. So why don't we go ahead and cheat again. Beautiful. Now we've all got rocket launchers and flamethrowers and all kinds of goodness. So we can hear a fight going off right now, and that guy got destroyed pretty well. So why don't we send some of these trucks over to where the enemy is?
Hola, bonito.
So these guys right here have got rocket launchers and the trucks have got flamethrowers on them. And they've got some great particle effects again by Joe. Oh, the computer got us. But don't worry about it. We got him. Sorry guys. We can also destroy buildings. Each faction needs to build up their resources by influencing the buildings, spending time there. So by killing the guys, the influence level drops because they have no guys nearby protecting the building. We can also go ahead and just destroy a building. So they're earning money right now. As soon as we destroy it, they're not earning any money for a while. So that gives you a tactical advantage for a while. But after a certain amount of time, the building is rebuilt by the gaming world. And we destroyed all their team, so they didn't have enough time to build up, which is great. So we won. So we're going to quit out of this, and that's pretty much our game. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn all the sound down, and we're going to let Andrew play another game with 4 players in AI. And that's going to just run in the background, and you'll see it gets more intense when there's 4 players, and the AI is just going crazy. So in the meantime, while it's playing that in the background, we'd like to open up the floor for questions. I'll see your hands. There we go. Who did the mafia voices? Samara, you are. Any other questions? There you go, Frost.
What was your biggest networking to AI issue? Like, aside from just making the AI only play like a player, just sending that over the network and getting that to handle all, because you guys could have endless amounts of image on the screen. How do you do the networking?
Can I cover that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically what we did was a command-based system. So whenever the AI decided to do something, it would send a message. Like every time we move a guy, we send a message to our command handler. And it says, okay, I got this message. I'm going to go ahead and pathfind to this point. So if anytime the AI does the same thing, it'll send a message to the same thing just like a normal player would. So it's really easy to keep track of it because it goes through the same system. Anybody else?
How do you guys decide whether a building is showing or transparent? Like when you have a...
All right, just, your question was how do we know, or how does a building know whether it should be transparent or not? Well, when an enemy is behind, or one of your units is behind a building, it goes transparent. And we actually do that by casting a ray from the camera to the object, and then all of the buildings around that, and then we use a OpenGL function to figure out what piece of geometry in the depth buffer it's hitting first. And with that, you can unproject the point into 3D space and cast it straight down, and you can get the exact location of whatever it hit. And we can determine if it's a building or not.
What was your biggest hurdle in designing the rendering engine?
The biggest hurdle in designing the rendering engine. At first, I tried to make it way, way more complicated than it needed to be. The first design was way too complicated for like this scope of a game. And after a couple revisions and talking to some people, it basically got simplified down into 2 gigantic lists that can store 2,000 objects each, and basically just runs through those lists and draws everything in there. It's really simple and really basic, and it works absolutely beautiful for this kind of game. Any other questions?
What are you using to determine paths for your vehicles and characters there?
I'll let Duke handle this.
We're using the A-star algorithm to find a path, but we're utilizing a node mesh as well. Does that answer? Or?
Do you place, like, on certain grids, do you place node meshes to signify a place that's walkable or not? Or?
Yes. The node mesh is actually, it's a collision map as well that kind of handles the collisions. And whenever an entity is standing in an area, that area, all those nodes get turned off and the objects pathfind around each other. Anyone else? That good.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you'd written an animation system. So I'm assuming like the little characters, if you zoom in on them, you can actually see them moving around and stuff.
Yeah, Andrew, if you zoom in on some of the infantry, that'd be great. Yeah, we use the hierarchical animation system where an arm is one object, a hand is an object, the top of your leg, your bottom, the foot. Each is a separate mesh. And then there's a matrix, which is a mathematical arrangement of numbers, which says the rotation, the position of each joint. So I save out the mesh as one object and the animation as lots of frames of where all those matrices are. And then you just assign the two to work together, and they do. So we can have lots of guys, and they share the same amount of memory. So we can have lots and lots of units on the screen at once. We've got walking, shooting, dying, and they all look pretty sweet, especially when you combine it with Joe's particles as well.
So then, okay, so it sounds like if you're using matrices, then you're using standard Euler angles then for, the different rotations that along the axes then?
I save out each of the matrices for each frame, for each joint. So it's just an entire matrix. So I use Maya to get things from, so whatever Maya did is what's in there.
Have you considered using quaternions to store the rotations?
I looked at it, but it seems more complicated and not worth the effort because it was saving memory and everything by having things instance like this. So, hope that answers your question.
Did you use a collision grid?
Yes. Basically, there's a node mesh on the floor, which Duke is working on, and each building turns off its nodes underneath it, so no one can go through a building. Anytime a person moves, they turn off whatever node they're on, so you don't walk into another guy, unless you're on your team, so you might see them punching up a little bit. And that's just the way it works. Everyone walks around each other.
Did you guys try any stress tests to put like a couple hundred guys on, just rampage the city and?
We did do that. How many guys do we have in there?
600.
Yeah, I think we put 600 guys in one map and told it to go, and everyone just turned around and started blasting the crap out of each other, and it was fantastic. But we haven't run that in a while. We were running it while we were just testing the game to see how it was going on. We haven't run it in our final build. We've only got a few maps now, so...
Did you consider keyframing the animations instead of doing that complicated hierarchical system?
They are keyframes, but the frames are every frame, if you know what I mean. So there is interpolation in between. We only have, say, a walking animation is something like 10 frames, but it's actually smoothed out depending on how fast your computer is, so it's going to always be in the same position for everyone.
Is that linear interpolation between the frames?
Yes.
Is there a reason you did hierarchy over vertex morphing? I mean, since you don't, I know the detail for this, especially with a strategy, isn't needed as well as, like, say, a one-on-one fighter. Is there some reason you didn't?
Yeah, the reason I chose hierarchical over vertex is because with a vertex animation, you basically save every single dot on a person. You have to save where that is. And because you've got so many people, you've got to save where every one of those dots is for every one of those people. Whereas in this system, you only have to save the matrices for each person. Or basically the time they are through the animation is all you really need. So you have one instance of the animation and one instance of the model, and then a time of where they are for each person. So you save a hell of a lot of memory by doing it that way. Did you win? Congratulations.
Is there team combat? Meaning, can you fight 2 teams against 2?
We were going to add an ally system to the game. I didn't have time to finish it. We might add it in the next week, but the point would be you would say, don't attack my friend because we both need to share this building and things like that. And then as soon as someone shot someone else, they would all turn and hell would break loose. But we didn't add that in for the final just yet. Any more?
You're trying to get this published?
We're thinking of going into the IGF, is it International or Independent Games Festival? Independent Games Festival. So which is a competition held at the Games Developers Conference next year. We're going to try and get into that. But I don't know about publishing. It depends what would happen from there.
You said that you could play up to 4 people on the network. How do you handle if, let's say, a network comes or gets unplugged or something like that, or how do you handle like a lot of latency?
Andrew did a fantastic system. He basically has a timeout, so if you don't receive a message from a person, then they disconnect from everyone's game, and you'll see a message come up on the screen, this player disconnected. You can carry on, so if you're playing a 4-player game, one person drops out, all those people will just stand there, they'll just stop, so you can just wipe them all out. They can't reconnect, but at least your game isn't finished, the other 3 players can carry on.
Now, with the networking, with the 4 people, is it only LAN connections, or are you able to connect over the internet as well?
We tried working things over the internet, and it's kind of working, but it mostly is LAN. So we do have all kinds of crazy sending things to a server, so you can see a list of all the games that are available, and saving stats and things. But I think I'm afraid we're out of time, so I can't take a question. Sorry. Thank you very much.